losing your dad in 2020 and then also losing your mom in 2021 and losing your mom on your dad's birthday, all of this could really be very devastating.
One of the reasons that I want to talk about this publicly, I don't want what happened to us to happen to any other person. We had a funeral Thanksgiving Mass for my mother. And my siblings and I were all seated in the front pew. We were all wearing purple, which is my mother's favorite color. So at some point during Mass, the parish priest of my hometown, whose name is Christopher Eze, takes the microphone and he starts talking about me. And I should say, to give context, is that he was referring to an interview which I had done months before. Mm-hmm. I've never been afraid of criticism. Nobody enjoys criticism, of course. So if this priest had written something to criticize me, even shouted at me at any other venue but the Holy Mass at my mother's funeral, it would have been okay. I really would not have minded. I then thought that I needed to address what he had said, so I asked for the microphone. It took a long time before he allowed them to give me the microphone. And so I went up to the altar and, I tried very hard to be very calm and very respectful. I told the congregation, I think that this man has misrepresented me. My point is not about not wanting to support the church. My point is about ambushing people, forcing them. I mean, this man has collections in which he says, if you have 10 naira, come up. Villagers who cannot eat, and particularly in a church where there are people who can afford it and who are very happy and willing to give, why do you need to ambush poor villagers who can hardly feed themselves? So after I spoke and I sat down, there are two men who were there, prominent men. They both stood up and said they wanted to speak as well. And they said to the priest, this is wrong. We're here to mourn her mother. After they sat down, the priest took the microphone and continued talking about me. Chimamanda should not be saying anything. And at this point, the ordinary people in the church just got upset. They started shouting. They said, Father, Uzugozie, Father, that's enough. This man just would not stop. My husband is usually a very calm person. My husband is known to be really even-toned. But that day in church, he was incensed. He got up. My husband was banging on the pew, shouting at the priest, telling him, stop it, this is wrong. My brother wanted to fight the priest. So we got up, my whole family, our friends who had come to honor my mother, and we walked out of the church. So that's how my mother's funeral Thanksgiving Mass ended, like that.
Wow.
Apparently he said, because we had left, that Chimamanda is not the only one that has written a book. I too have written a book. She's not the only one that has gone to America. I have also gone to America. I actually had wanted to say a lot more about the priest that day, but I decided that no, I shouldn't. I did not tell them other things, such as how this man had bullied my family when my father was buried about money. How when we presented a cow to the church, he was upset. And why was he upset? We should have monetized it. He wanted the money. How when I gave money to the church for the bazaar, because I knew that this man always wants cash, I made sure to go and get cash. Because if you write a check or want to do a bank transfer, he doesn't want that. He wants the cash. I should say, though, that, because it's very easy to make things very blanket. There are people in the hierarchy of the church, in the Nigerian church, that I have a lot of respect for. And there are people who, there are people like Cardinal Onayekon, who is a great Christian and a great thinker. People like Archbishop Obinna, people like Bishop Akubeze.
How has this impacted the grieving process for you?
It's very difficult. I mean, it's very, very difficult. And like I said, it's not even about me. I think that my mother deserved so much better. My mother deserved respect. My mother deserved courtesy. My mother never did anything to that man. My mother gave to the church. My mother gave to him. I can tell you stories of my mother. We should take drinks. And this man did not think my mother deserved the respect, the basic courtesy of having a funeral that would not turn into a raucous market, because that's what happened. And so it's been very, very painful. I cannot help but think of, one of the Beatitudes. It's the second Beatitude. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. We were not comforted. And that priest failed. He failed terribly at his duty. Instead of comforting us, he increased our pain. My siblings and I were so bitter. And I cannot tell you how, I should be allowed to mourn my mother in peace. But I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to because of what this man did. And I haven't been able to because this man has not faced any consequences for his action. And it just kills my spirit that this happened at her funeral.